Throughout history, numerous individuals have risen to accomplish extraordinary feats, leaving an indelible mark on the world. Many attribute these remarkable achievements to divine intervention, believing that God selects certain individuals for significant roles or purposes. While the criteria for God's selection may seem mysterious, several reasons shed light on how and why God chooses people for great things. Faith and trust. God often chooses individuals who exhibit unwavering faith and trust in Him. The Bible is replete with examples, such as Abraham, who demonstrated remarkable faith by obeying God's call to leave his homeland. Such trust forms the foundation for God to work through individuals for remarkable purposes. Surrender and obedience. God seeks those who are willing to surrender their will and obey His guidance. Consider the story of Moses, initially hesitant but eventually obedient to God's instructions to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. Surrendering to God's plan often precedes the accomplishment of great deeds. Character and integrity. God looks for individuals of character and integrity. Joseph, despite facing adversity, remained steadfast in his commitment to righteousness, eventually becoming a leader and a deliverer for His people. God chooses those whose character reflects His values and principles. Servant-heartedness. Greatness in God's eyes often involves serving others. Jesus Himself exemplified this, stating that greatness comes through serving others. God chooses individuals who embody humility and a servant's heart, ready to use their gifts and talents for the benefit of others. Preparation and training. Sometimes God prepares chosen individuals through a series of experiences and challenges. David, anointed as king in his youth, went through trials and training before assuming the throne. God's chosen ones may undergo a period of refinement before fulfilling their purpose. Uniqueness and unconventionality. God's selection doesn't always align with societal norms. He chooses the unlikely and unexpected, such as the shepherd boy David, to achieve extraordinary outcomes. God's ways often defy human expectations, demonstrating His power through unconventional choices. Divine calling and purpose. God chooses people to fulfill His specific plans and purposes. Jeremiah, called from a young age to be a prophet, was appointed to deliver God's messages to the nations. Such divine callings indicate God's deliberate selection for a particular mission. God's grace and sovereignty. Ultimately, God's selection is rooted in His grace and sovereignty. He chooses individuals not based on their merit, but according to His purposes. God's sovereign will overrides human qualifications, demonstrating His power to work through imperfect vessels. In conclusion, God's selection of individuals for great purposes is a testament to His wisdom and sovereignty. While the reasons behind His choices may not always be evident, these examples showcase that God chooses ordinary individuals and equips them to accomplish extraordinary tasks for His glory. Understanding that God's criteria for selection often differs from worldly standards brings comfort and encouragement to those who seek to fulfill their God-given potential. Ultimately, being chosen by God for a great purpose is a humbling privilege that calls for faith, obedience, and reliance on His guidance.